Hey, what's going on? It's Gary from fitnessfirstnutrition.com back with another video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Today we're going to talk about birth rates and the decline of the birth rate in America, how that's going to negatively affect us in the future, and is there anything that we can do about it? So this is a chart that we have right here, and it's going to pretty much let you know where we at as far as the birth rate. So this is the rate per thousand females. So we have teen pregnancies right here. So this is pretty low. This is good. 15 to 19. We want to keep that number nice and low. Then you come over here to 20 to 24. It goes up to about half. And then people are having kids later in life. So 25 to 29, I mean, that's pretty normal, but 30 to 34, that's a little uh that's a little later. And then we have the 35 to 39, which is in line with the people who are 20 to 24. That's a little weird. And then people still having kids in their 40s, but that's just as low as teen pregnancy. But we are currently at a 1.6 kids per woman rate. So the replacement rate is 2.1 kids per woman. Obviously, you can't have a zero point 0.1 kid, but it's an average. So some people even say it's 2.7 due to illness and kids passing away early. People pass away early in general. So um so we are currently way behind where we're supposed to be at. So it may not seem that important or people really don't think about it, but I mean, there is a danger to having low birth rates. So as you have an aging population, you have a shrinking workforce. So a low birth rate leads to fewer young people entering the workforce because there are fewer young people, resulting in a smaller labor pool, and that could put a strain on the economy. So you got countries like Japan, South Korea, and they're actually around that range. They're around like 1.5, and they're facing shortages in the labor market. So we know, and it's putting pressure on their pension system, retirement systems. So we have an example already of what this looks like, and this is the trajectory that we're headed on. Now we're obviously a bigger country than Japan and South Korea, but just because we're bigger, I mean, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, they say. So that could be us. And we're not immune just because we're the US. We still need people. We need people to replace the people. Everybody has to take somebody's place. That's just the way it goes. So it can create also economic stagnation. So it can a decline in population is going to reduce the customer demand or consumer demand because there's less consumers. So that'll lead to economic decline. So that means fewer businesses. That means a smaller GDP. So that means less people are willing to invest. Like we have all these people right now investing in the country. If we continue to have less and less people are less likely to want to invest in this country. And that is important, especially we're a debtor nation. So which means we sell debt to other countries. So that is highly important. Also, with fewer people going into the workforce and just being around in general, you're going to have strained social welfare systems. So with the fewer people, it's going to be less taxes, which means less money for food stamps, housing programs, all of the social programs that we have in place. It'll be less money for it. So it'll be less money for pensions. With pensions aren't as big as they were. We now have, for the most part, moved over to 401ks outside of some unions and a few other jobs, but mainly union jobs. Uh, so social services may become unsustainable. So people who retire, they might face fewer benefits and fewer less financial security, as Social Security may possibly erode. As of right now, Social Security is looking like it may die out by 2034. Now, they always they always say that it's coming, the end of Social Security, and one day they will be correct. The last time they said we weren't $37 trillion in debt. That's where we are now. So right now, in countries like Europe, um, countries in Europe like Germany, they're facing a challenge right now with their pension system because they have a low birth rate. They only have around 1.5, 1.6 kids per woman, which is just not enough to replace the people that have left the workforce and are relying on the new people to keep the workforce going. So it's going to get rough out here. We need more kids, and that's why President Trump tried to do. It's not enough of an incentive, but that's why he created the Trump account for kids. So also with less people, you're gonna have you can have a weakened military. Now we don't rely as much on boots on the ground, but boots on the ground are important. Being able to put those boots on the ground, but we're going to have less people. So we're going to have less people for the military. We're going to have less people to give money through taxes to support the military. So right now, we're not the only country going through this. There's a lot of countries going through this, especially in Europe and here. I believe, I want to say like maybe more Hispanic countries, they're not dealing with that, I don't believe. I know wherever the Muslims are, they are exploding with kids. Wherever the Muslims are, they're having four, five, six, seven, eight kids. You know, they even in the United States, they are really producing. Wherever they're at, they are producing. They really put a high value on family. Family in this country and Europe is still, I want to say, it's still a priority, but it's less of a priority there. And the family has, the nuclear family, the family in general, has really eroded in the United States. That's just really not as big a part of our, it's not really a big part of our culture anymore as it was in the 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Now everything is about individuals. People are more self-centered. They're worried about themselves, their careers. They don't trust each other. Is such a big divide amongst the two sexes and the goals. And the goals is no longer to create a family and you know create the next person and keep this thing going. People just don't realize how important it is. So in the long term, it can cause an economic decline. So if we don't get more people in, like I said before, we're going to have reduced investment. We're going to have a lower GDP, and we're just going to have less money. And China has a lot of people. So China's also, well, they were kind of going through it because they had the one child policy because they had too many people, but then they had that one child policy too long. So now they're losing people, but they're starting from a way higher amount than we are. So they may be better off. Um, this may increase the need for immigration, unfortunately. Uh, but you don't want to just, the dangers with that is that you open up immigration. So you need the people, you get people from other countries, which are stealing their people, but you get people from other countries to come here, do the job, contribute to society. But are they here because they love the country? Are they here because they share the same values? Or are we going to continue to further erode our values as they come here with their values from elsewhere? When people come to America now, they're supposed to, pledge of allegiance. They're supposed to let you know that they're here to help America progress, not, you know, strictly for themselves. So I don't know if these people come here and then they introduce their culture, they send their money back, and then they just move out anyway. I don't know, but I want Americans in America working for America. That's the goal. You want your people in the country. You can take on immigrants. There's nothing wrong with immigrants, but you don't want to base your society on immigrants. You want people who are from the culture, in the culture. So uh I don't know. I mean, do you have kids out there? Comment below. Let me know. Do you have kids? Do you see the decline as it's happening? Do you notice in your family, amongst your friends, that less and less people are having kids, or they're waiting longer to have kids? Do you see the issue with our current status of childbearing in this country? So we can like Europe. I don't understand Europe because Europe is pretty decent amongst like as far as giving benefits. Like they have maternity leave, paternity leave. They give mothers in some countries they give new mothers 12 months off from work paid. So I really don't understand why Europe is that way. I may do some more investigating to that. I do understand in America, everything is so high. You have to go back to work the next day at some of these companies. There's some women, they go to work, they have a baby, and they're at work the next day or 2 or 3 days later, where because there's no paid leave at some of these companies, and they can't afford to not be at work. So uh now coming down the pike is something that will help coming down the pike is automation. So we're going to have robots. Robots are coming. So robots will be here to do the work, but there's going to be less people to buy it still. So it really still, even if you offset the labor shortage, you still have not offset or addressed the consumer shortage that will be. So we have a we really have to work on it, and it's going to have to be more than just an account with for $1,000 or $5,000 one time from the government to emphasize this. So I'm not really sure what it is. If you have any ideas on how we can encourage people to have children, we also need to bring back the idea of having a family, a wife, a husband, and them having kids and them staying together as a family. We don't put an emphasis on families anymore, and that is also it's just part of the problem. So we really need to get this thing turned around. But again, I'm Gary from fitnessfirstnutrition.com. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you need any supplements, a workout plan, a meal plan customized for you, please like, comment. Please head over to fitnessfirstnutrition.com, and I'll see you on the next video.